you got a t-shirt with bloodstains all over it, maybe laundry isn't your biggest problem right now.
I remember the day the candle shop burned down. Everybody just stood around and sang happy birthday.
And a security guard came over and said, "You're gonna have to move. You're blocking the fire exit." As though if there was a fire, I wasn't gonna run.
You make love to the right woman, Johnny, it's beautiful, beautiful. I mean, the last time I made love to my wife, it was ridiculous. Nothing was happening. I looked at her, I said, "What's the matter? Can't you think of anyone either?"
I never learn, you know, like a waitress will bring my meal. "Hey, enjoy your meal, you too!" But you don't have one, do you? I'm a doofus. If you do eat, enjoy it when you eat it. If you have a break or something later, if you get an opportunity, that's all I'm trying to say. That's all that I'm driving at, really.
Hello, welcome to Comedy Think Tanked, a podcast with Leonard Kimball and Nick Gordon, two comedians who know how to take a drink and have a thought. Sit back, get comfortable, and enjoy. Now, whether they're ready or not, here's your hosts, Leonard and Nick.
Hello, welcome to Comedy Think Tanked podcast. Hello, Leonard. How you doing, bud?
Pretty good, Nick. How are you?
Yeah, doing good. Doing real good. It's March, and I'm excited because that means springtime, right?
Yeah, springtime. Might be able to do some outdoor shows. That'd be good.
Yeah.
As the weather gets better and it gets warmer outside. It's good. It should be good. I'm really, really eager. I was hoping to get some things going and plan some stuff for when the snow melts. We just put some lawn chairs out someplace.
Anybody's backyard who wants who thinks they might even, whatever. We'll just go show up at people's houses.
Yeah.
We brought our own lawn chairs and a microphone, and we want to put on a comedy show for you. And we don't care if you want to or not. But we've been able to do stuff. We've been able to do some stuff. So,
Yeah, we've got shows, and we've done some shows on Zoom, and we've got a show in person at the Hilton Garden Inn on March 26th. And that's gonna be a fantastic show. We'll have Alex Giampapa, Mark Turcotte, Casey Crawford. That one should be fantastic, and you and I will sort of tag team host that one.
Yeah, I think that's a good format, and let's make sure everyone knows plenty of opportunities to get your tickets because we have a 7 p.m. show and a 10 p.m. show. There's a late show where somebody did something really dirty.
Yeah. So you get tickets at our website, therivercomics.com, and tickets are sold by the table, either tables of 4 or table of 6, and they're socially distanced tables. There'll be a bar available, and the restaurant will be open for some pub fare. Should be a fun night.
Did we decide on the prices for that?
Yes. It's like $50 for a small table up to 4 people, and $65 for a table of 6.
So a really good value for anyone who's interested in some stand-up comedy in the Lewiston, Auburn area. If you want to see a good show, 7 p.m. or 10 p.m. March 26th, coming right up here. Check it out. Get your tickets and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. Please. It's been great to get some stage time again through all this, because everything has pretty much been shut down. And last month or so, a month or so ago, when I finally got to get back on stage at one of Mark Turcotte's shows at Craft Brew Underground, I had what I in the time, I felt pretty good, and I was like, oh my God, this is really good. And it reminded me of like I used to work for a law firm where, but after I left that job, they contacted me and said like, oh, we do like a, do you still want to come to our yearly cookout at one of the legal assistants' homes? And so I was like, oh yeah, sure. So I showed up there, and I had spent like the previous, I don't know, like 4 months or so. Like maybe 2 months of, I was on a diet, and I decided to not eat meat.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know why. I just like figured I'd give it a try. And I think I'd made it 2 months. And so I walk in, and I was like, oh yeah, hey Leonard, good to see you again, blah, 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 blah. And someone just hands me a plate of food, like, and it's a burger. And I sit down, and I got a beer and a burger, and I start eating the burger. And I'm like, wow, this is really good. Like, this is really good hamburger. Like, where'd you get this? And they're like, oh no, it's just like frozen Walmart patties or something like that. I'm like, yeah, really? Nothing special at all. This is really, really good. And then I go like, oh, I haven't eaten any meat in 2 months.
You could have put anything in front of me.
Right.
As long as it was USDA, choice, whatever, could be grade V and
grade V. So the enjoyment I got out of that burger was similar to the enjoyment I got of getting on stage again after so long. And like, it felt like the best set of my life, getting laughs in front of like a room of 14 people separated by 6 feet each other.
I completely understand. I don't ever take any time off of eating meat, so that metaphor is lost on me. But I agree. I think it's I feel like December. I think once a month or so throughout the winter, I've been able to do something at least. I can't. It's like November, December, January, February, like once a month, and each set has become progressively better.
Yeah,
because I'm spending a lot of time writing material and honing the material on the paper. So I hope that my next set is just as good as my last, if not better. And it is. It feels so good to do it. I wish we lived in an area where we could do it 7 days a week. That would really make me happy. But at the same time, what we do get to do is really worthwhile, and it's so nice to hear people laugh in person.
Right.
And the time off was good in a way, but at the same time, it's not healthy for us.
How much time do you spend writing? Like, do you think you're doing something every day?
Every day, maybe a tiny, like if I average it out, there's some days I definitely do more. But I think on a regular basis, when by regular basis, I mean, once a day or once every other day, I'm coming up with some idea of something that I want to add or work on, or, and if, like I don't know, it's just, like the other day I wrote down of something about getting the wind. Like I coach little kids hockey for my son and his teammates, and somebody went down hard, and I remembered like instantly, like it put me back to when I was a kid and running around on a wet, slippery floor after a shower and falling down and getting the wind knocked out of you. Remember getting the wind knocked out of you?
Right.
And I just thought of that. It's like, oh wow, it's been so long since I've had the wind knocked out of me for whatever reason, and I don't know if that's even what it is. So I wanted to look up what it was. So I wrote it down as an idea of a bit or a joke. And it's not funny now because it's like, ooh, that's kind of scary. Like, why are you talking about that? But it's like a childhood memory of like, being short of breath after you've taken a hard fall. And so it's not working on material, but it's like coming up with another idea of something that might go into something else. And so, yeah, at least 4 or 5 times a week, I'm thinking of something like that. It's like, ooh, that has potential. So
yeah.
And then, I try to write, and I'm working on my stuff that I've already done and trying to make it better. So
right.
I don't know. It's a work in progress, all of it.
Yeah, for sure. And in the absence of actual physical stage time, we've been doing a lot of stuff on Zoom, like we said before, our Zoom open mics and the Hunkered Down comedy series. And that's been fun, meeting comedians, not just local, but from all over the country. And, in the first Hunkered Down show we had, Mike Gray was one of our comedians. Yes.
Our guest today, Mike Gray, he's him and I kind of, for whatever it's worth, have kind of come up together. We both started the same time roundabouts, and we've worked a lot of shows together, and we're having him on our shows now that we produce, and it's he's a good comedian. He's for some people he may be an acquired taste, but I think if you are a fan of comedy, you will be a fan of Mike Gray, and he's a good guy to talk to. He's a good guy to have around, and it's always a pleasure to get a few minutes with him. So
great. So with that, let's just go to our interview. Here's Mike Gray, everyone. Thanks for listening. Hello, Mike Gray.
What's going on?
Not much. What's going on with you?
The usual. Stuck in my apartment, and between the times I work.
Fun.
A lot of people stuck in their apartment nowadays.
Yeah,
I know, it sucks.
It's getting to be bad. You were in New Hampshire yesterday, though. Where the hell's Bristol?
Yeah,
Bristol, New Hampshire.
Bristol, New Hampshire. It's past Lake Winnipesaukee.
Oh,
kind of. Yeah, so it's a little west of that. So it's kind of, it's not near Manchester. It's up in kind of the middle of the state.
How was it?
It was good. There were quite a few people there. It was a nice big room, a nice real tall stage. It's a great room. Pete Andrews is the guy who runs it. It's awesome.
How long is that drive from here?
It's pretty far. It was 2 hours for me.
Ooh, yikes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're down in Biddeford, right?
Yeah.
That's
And it takes me through. Yeah. I mean, it takes me through like Somersworth and stuff. Like you go out that way. You don't go into Manchester and then north. So it's like, it's a ways. But I think Pete is from Northern Mass. So he even has to drive pretty far to put that show on.
Oh, for his
Is it
own
worth
room.
it? Is it worth it to go?
Yeah. He paid me. So that was good. And good food there. And it was awesome. A lot of Boston guys I hadn't worked with before.
Nice.
That was
How was
cool.
your set?
Yeah, it was basically the same as last week. People were a little bit more reserved, but not quite as, got plenty of laughs. I feel good about it.
How much time did you do?
15.
Oh, okay, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, originally it was going to be Brian Plum, but then he bailed because he's Brian Plum. Yeah. So
we love ourselves some Brian Plum. Let's just say that.
I
first.
fucking love that guy.
Yeah, but he's flaky, is he? Does he just not show up sometimes?
No, I think he's usually pretty good. Like I don't think his bailed on many shows is usually a good reason he can't make it. You know what I mean?
Might it have been it was in Bristol?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I asked him that. I was like, is it too far to drive, dude? But it worked out because he was going to feature. And then he told Pete, like, just give Mike my spot and then watch him. And then, so he gave me that. It was pretty cool.
That's cool.
That's
Actually,
nice.
that works out better. That's nice of him.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he intended to do.
I think so. Maybe. I think one of the jokes with Brian Plum is that we just haven't gotten it yet. You know what I mean? Like he's no, you know what? Give Mike the spot. I'll bail on this one. Give Mike the spot. He's like this kind of ideologue. You know what I mean? Like he's just doing this as a charity.
Right.
And we just haven't caught on yet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very. We'll get him on our show here, and we'll get down to it. We'll figure it out.
Oh, dude, he's the best, dude.
The other night when we were all in Auburn, it was, I don't even know. I don't even know what was happening half the time, but it was.
He does that. He holds you. He holds you like he suspends you. You don't know if he's going to do a joke or if he's just going to riff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a master at it. He just seamlessly goes from like he'll do some material and then he'll just kind of, wow, this place is weird. Look at this little oven next to it. He'll just start riffing on stuff and you never see it coming, you know?
It's something I think that we all would love to be able to do at some point. If anyone ever gives us more than 15 minutes.
Right, yeah. He told me the reason he got good at that is because he used to go to this mic that was no material, new material only.
Oh.
So sometimes he would get up there with nothing and he would just start talking about people in the front row or the room or something. He would just riff and hone that skill, which I don't have at all. I suck at that. Totally suck at it.
I think that's a great idea though for a mic, if we can ever get an open mic going again, is doing that. New material, no material, new material. That sounds fun.
Which usually when I go to a mic, it's almost always I do new material, but I'm still prepared. Yeah. I mean, I never go up there with nothing. You know.
Right. Your new material might be something that you've been working on for a little while. It's new, but it's not brand new today. It's not something you just thought of. So. Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting. Well, hopefully we can get something like that going here sooner rather than later. Your hair, for those of you, for people out there who know you, how long is it, and how long does it really need to be?
I can't cut it any short. I mean, it could maybe be, right here. I could cut that off.
To your shoulder,
maybe.
Yeah.
But
maybe.
I don't know. Because I think the whole thing I look like is like a Dave Mustaine who's been in and out of rehab. You know what I mean? And like a young fat Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. And I feel like that's kind of my brand. You know what I mean? Because people see, if I cut my hair, I would have the same jokes, but I would lose a lot of the identity. And it would.
I agree. Yeah.
Be weird. I think it'd be weird.
Yep. So you're stuck with it now for ever.
Just about.
When did you start growing it? When?
Probably about 12 years ago.
Just because you hate your parents, or?
Yeah. My dad was long gone at that point, so it's just like, fuck you, mom.
My dad always wanted me to get a haircut when I was a kid, and like it was weekly. You got to get a haircut. It's like, I just got a haircut. I don't need a haircut. And it was a constant battle.
Weekly haircuts?
Get my hair.
No,
weekly?
It was silly. It seemed like it. It seemed like it was every time I turned around. But now I have a son, and it's like, oh, I see now. I look at him, and I'm like, God, what a scrub! Like,
well, back when I was in high school, I would. Oh, thank you, man. It's the only good thing about me. No, I used to cut my hair like every 6 months or so in high school, so it'd get kind of shaggy, and then I would cut it down real short, and then I'd go another 6 months, and it just that cycle. And then I just was like, I'm just gonna keep it long.
Yeah, no, it definitely fits you. It's real.
Yeah. So you want to get yourself a razor like I do, and just clean shave every couple weeks, and
I couldn't do that.
No.
Like Pink Floyd there, where the guy's like he's going nuts and he's shaving his head. I couldn't do it.
We don't look good. White people, Leonard, don't look good with clean shaven heads, unless it's like if you go bald and then you shave it. That's one thing. But if you actually have hair, you got to have a little bit. You can't go down to the scalp like you do.
So you sort of ease society into your bald head look by slowly going bald, and then you're like, oh yeah, remember those little things I had on the side of my head? Now I've just shaved that off. Now I'm all done. Okay,
now we're good. But with people who actually have hair, they have to keep something on top.
Okay,
that's my assessment. Yeah. Notice I'm wearing a hat.
Yeah. Right. I think I told everyone that even if I start going bald in the back, or on the top, I'm just going to have a skullet. I'm just going to keep it long and just have the bald spot on top.
You get
You
one
know,
of those,
could
like,
easily cover.
you get like the hairspray thing, like that where you spray, it's like spray brown paint back there.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
with the length it's at, it wouldn't matter right now. Like it would just it would cover any bald
Yeah.
spot in the back. The Benjamin
Just like brush
Franklin,
it
though,
forward.
Oh my god! Oh shit! Whoa! When did you start doing stand up? Was it you and I in Tim's class like back in 2014?
Yeah. I usually don't count from that point because it was a year where I didn't get out. So I took that class and then just nothing for a year. And then it was October of 2015 is when I started. And I started doing the mic at what was it? It was I can't remember the name of the place, but I would go there, do their mic, and then there was Be Good at the time. Be Good Burger had a mic, so I did those a little bit, and I was working nights, so that actually helped me, even though nights were a horrible abomination, and I never want to do it again, because I would go do the mic, and instead of like working during the day and then coming home to Biddeford and then rushing back out to Portland, it was easier. I would just go to Portland early, do the mics, and then go to work.
Yeah. Was it Mama's Crowbar? Did you go there?
No, that was right after it closed, I think.
Yeah. That's where I was doing open mics, is Mama's Crowbar with those guys there. That was interesting. And then
I heard that was a great place. But
it was a great place. It actually was really cool. And I went there several times and had a lot of fun. It's quite the experience to dive into comedy and open mics and go to a place like that. A little dive bar on the East End, and it was something. And then Brian Baruz was decent for a while.
Yep.
And what did you think? So you did the class, we did the class together, and like what got you to that point? Like what made you say like I have to go up and try to do comedy?
Well, I'd been starting to watch comedy more and more, and when I was living alone in like 2012, 2013, I started getting into Bill Hicks. And so I'd heard other stuff and it kind of intimidated me. And then I heard Bill Hicks, how he's just kind of cool, but he's really angry, but he has kind of at the same time, he's a little laid back. So ironically, I heard that. I'm like, oh, I can do this. And then I really wanted to. And I used to do theater and stuff. So I'd been on stage and it wasn't anything foreign to me. So I emailed Tim Farrell a while before the class, and I was asking when he was going to have another one, and didn't hear anything. And then all of a sudden I get this email, oh, I'm doing one this September. And I was like, all right, I got to do it then.
Yep. Similar story. I emailed him years before that. It was like 10 plus years before. And he had it, he gave me the price or whatever. And I was like, I don't know, and then I sat on it for almost, it was 12, 13 years I sat on it. And then I finally said, you know what?
Oh, wow.
Going through a rough patch, and I really, really, really want to do this. And then we did it, and we met each other through that. So that's a good, it was a good experience all around.
Who else was in that? That was Audra Bohr was in that class. Okay. She's not doing much anymore.
She hasn't done much lately. I reached out to her, but I think other than the three of us, I don't think anyone else actually pursued. Aaron Willows was in the class, right?
Yeah, but he ended up moving to Michigan.
Yeah, he's somebody we'd like to get on here. Him and Will Green, the original.
Oh man, I miss Will Green. I only worked with him like once or twice, and this is funny. When my first night at Lincoln's, I sat my phone down just to take audio. I didn't take video yet, and I think he was talking to Rachel Gendron. Yeah, because I think she was visiting at that time. And I sat my phone down at the end of the bar. I started doing my set, and I hear Will go, "Yeah, this guy's really good." I was like,
yes, that's cool.
That keeps you going.
Oh yeah.
Anytime somebody that is a little bit better, a little bit more experienced, or has just been at it a little longer. Anytime they say like, "Oh, great, good joke," or Kyron Hobby came up to me one time and said he liked the joke I told at one of Be Good open mics.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, oh oh my God, like I can't believe someone actually listened to it and they liked it and they thought so much about it they could actually say something to me about it. I was like, oh, that keeps you going.
Yeah. Kyron's awesome, dude. I have one of my best
Really
sets. It was before him. It was after Bill. What's his name? Bill Picard.
Yeah.
It was right after him at the old Baxter room with the death lathe.
Oh yeah, that was such a good
right.
Oh my God, that was so good. And I think that was right after, like a month or so after I broke up with my girlfriend at the time. So it was just like I was just pissed off again. And, she kind of sucked the life out of me a little bit. So I felt like it was, coming back.
Did that help you on stage?
Yeah, it did. Because I was able to bring out all the bullshit of being single. All that stuff you have to deal with. It's, stupid and redundant, and it's always the same people, and it's frustrating, so I was able to get all that out, and yeah,
nice.
And especially after 3 years of being with someone who has no personality, you think it's bad, but it's like vampiric. It's it just sucks your essential the energy and life out of you, and they don't even mean to. Like,
no.
There's nothing wrong with her, but she just
she
wasn't being a bitch. Yeah, it wasn't like she was a bitch or anything. She was just low key all the time, and it just wore on me.
When I was going through my divorce, it was the cups, like filling up each other's cup or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever heard that metaphor, but like it's true, because some people they just drain you, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't know why. You don't see it until after it's over. And I understand.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, and other people, like they just, their energy just helps you, fills you up, and I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Relationships
definitely
are
is
so weird.
So your new girlfriend seems nice.
Yeah, she's cool. Yeah, she's awesome.
Okay.
She's standing right behind the camera.
She can only hear one half of this conversation, so she's gonna be like, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?"
No, she's lovely. I'm joking.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So you said you used to do theater. What did you used to do in theater?
Just at high school, and a little bit after, but I grew out of it because it was always bullshit from the 40s, and you just listening to it, like, people do not talk like this, and it's just gross. I grew out of it big time, but getting on stage helped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, what are you doing? Love stories from the 40s in high school?
Just it was different stuff, but yeah, it was like it just felt like everything was super antiquated.
Yeah.
Everything we did.
Did you try to be funny and like do something to get a laugh when you were doing it?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, I tried. But...
Were you a class clown, or were you just somebody like was able to get a laugh? Like, I was able to get a laugh in school, but I wasn't like that kid that always got in trouble for fucking around. But
yeah, the class clown usually was just like wacky, all the time. Like, fuck that guy. I hated that guy. I wasn't that guy at all. But I would try to get laughs when I could,
Yeah, I think that's common amongst people who go into stand-up comedy, that they love the sound of someone laughing, and they love to be the reason why. Yeah. But they also don't like it's measured. There's something more behind it. There's some intelligence behind it. Those people that just fuck off are very annoying. Very annoying.
Oh yeah.
How far do you think you'd go? How far would you take it if given the opportunity? Comedy.
Comedy?
No.
Sky's the limit. I mean, I don't really, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing and go on the road and be able to make a modest living. I don't really care beyond that. But if it came down to it, I got a Netflix. I don't know. If I had an offer for a Netflix special, I don't know. I don't know if I'd do that. Because it's like, it's a level of fame that's almost too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then again,
Like in terms of what people would expect from you?
Yeah.
After? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Plus, I'm not the most prolific comic I know. I don't just churn out material.
Uh-huh.
No,
I mean, even though we're all from Maine, so we don't get a whole lot of stage time. I mean, it's just how it is. But I still, even then, I just feel like I'm not very prolific, even when juxtaposed with other Maine comics that are getting on once a week, maybe, you know. And I just feel like if I got an hour, I'd have to sit on that hour for years before I got another hour.
I think that's how they used to do it back in the 40s.
Yeah. I mean,
once you had an act, that was it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I mean, some people still do it, like Gilbert Gottfried, you know?
Yeah.
He's a fucking legend, but he's still doing the same shit.
Yep.
Then there was like, I mean, Carlin would every year, he would release an hour and then scrap the last hour and he would just start over. But that guy was a monster.
Incredible. Yeah.
I mean, there's only one Carlin, and that's it.
Yeah. It is interesting to look at people who are professionals and actually pick apart their body of work and see what it is they've really done. You know, you got John Mulaney now is huge, right? But he's got 3 hours essentially, and he was a writer on SNL, and he's, you know, one of the more famous comedians right now.
Yeah,
and it's like, how did you get to that point? And I would say he's more active than, you know, having 3 hours is much more than people, you know, would expect of a good stand-up comedian.
Yeah. There's a guy who, I don't know if I told you guys about him, but he has 3 CDs. He's got a Comedy Central special. He's got actually a fourth CD, and then he has like a CD of B-sides, jokes that didn't work, but it's still really funny. But Joe DeRosa, I mean, he's got so much stuff out, and he's so underrated. No one really knows who he is. He was on Better Call Saul. I don't know if you watched that.
Yeah.
You know the veterinarian?
Yeah.
That's Joe DeRosa.
Okay, interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was, I just got into him like this past summer, and I went on the Shaskeen's page just seeing what shows, and one of his shows was going to be at the Shaskeen, and they had to cancel it because it was last April.
I was gonna say, I feel like I know that name.
Yeah.
D Rosa, right?
Yes. He works a lot with Bill Burr. Like he's one of Bill Burr's comics, but I mean, he's got so much material out. He's got 2 albums. I listen to him on Spotify because when I work, I'll just have my earbuds in and I'll listen to podcasts and some music and then comedy albums, which is something that's helped me a lot over this pandemic. But he has like 6 albums out.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, he's amazing. He's such a good joke writer.
Where's he from?
He's from Philly and then New York, and now he's in LA.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine having 1 hour or one special, or it's hard to put ourselves into that atmosphere, like that, into that area, because it's like, oh, we could never get there. But yeah, you know, we regularly get laughs, you know, for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and
right,
that's possible. We could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think about like I've got like 15 minutes of material now, and to think like, oh, if I ever finally built that up to an hour, and then suddenly it's like, oh, okay, now I gotta scrap it all and start again. And I was like, no, it took me years to get to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe
it took me a long time.
Yeah.
Because I was, I don't know if you remember when I was at the Bare Bones Beer when I was headlining. You remember that show? I think you guys were there.
Right.
It was, I felt like that was 10 to 15 minutes of material, and that's it. That's all I had. And in a way, it kind of was, but I was stuck with it. I felt like that was it. That's all I had, and I couldn't expand. And then what I realized is what you got to do is like the way you set things up. Because we always hear that less is more.
Yep.
That's horse shit. Less is more if you're Mitch Hedberg, right?
Right.
Then you need no fat, you need to, but if you're a storyteller or if you're a rant comedian, you have to have your point of view, and then you have to have a setup. In that setup, you have to not persuade the audience, but you got to make them understand what you're thinking. And sometimes that has to be kind of wordy. You know what I mean? It
takes up space for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and you could put little jokes in there just as you write it, like, oh, I could say that here, but you're still in the setup. And then there's the body of the joke and punchline, and then maybe a couple tags. But like I noticed that I was too worried about the punchline that I would neglect just talking about the subject. Okay. And so that helped me have a little bit more time. Like the bit about my mother being a Jehovah's Witness.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That was like a couple throwaway jokes. I mean, I couldn't really develop it. And then I started to talk about how I actually felt about it. Because I would kind of assume that you would tell how I felt about it, but I didn't really, because the truth is, like, if that belief were true, that terrifies me. And so I injected that into the joke this time around. And I think it helps you connect with it a lot more. And it adds a little bit of length to the joke and makes it more thorough.
Right. Okay. Brings the audience into where your frame of mind actually is.
Yeah.
They're watching 4 or 5 other comedians. So, we're not all the same, and we're not all coming from the same perspective and have the same points of view. So we can't assume that they too, but you're right, with someone like Mitch Hedberg, like, ba-dum, they can do those types of jokes, and we can do those types of jokes within the longer jokes that we need to set up.
Definitely. Yeah. But just saying that blanket statement, less is more, it's just not true. It's just for certain people, it's true.
Well, there's definitely certain comedians that are way too much. Like, there's a lot of things that are like, whoa, where the hell are we going here? And then there's no tags, there's no real good punchlines, there's no good pieces in there that are getting any laughs at all. So that's hard to watch too sometimes. But
like when you're up there for like 2 or 3 minutes and you don't get any laughs, like, maybe you need to reevaluate your shit.
Yeah. Maybe that's when you should take up the trumpet.
Yes.
In your act, you touch on mental health and depression and that sort of thing. I recently tried to write a suicide joke. It actually got a good laugh, so I was happy with that. But where does that come from for you? Suicide jokes.
Being nowhere in life.
Yeah.
When before I moved down to the Portland area, I was just living in Corinna, and I was working full time, and I just wasn't doing anything. I was just living at my parents'. I was like, I got to get out of here. So then I moved, and then I was living alone for years.
Yeah.
And since 2012, let's see, it's about, let's say to 2020 is 8 years. 2 of those I had a roommate. So I just lived alone in isolation for a lot of that time, and it wears on you. And when I started working at this warehouse, it was just like I was getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and it just came out as anger, and I was just angry all the time. And it was when I was doing comedy. Actually, it was around 2018. That's when it was real bad, because I was doing sound, which was cool. But I was also like, I had no weekends because of that. It was just like work all week, Friday, Saturday doing sound, work all week, Friday, Saturday doing sound. And I liked doing that, but it was just, it wore on me, and being alone when I got home wore on me. And I don't exactly know what made, but I started to get this anxiety and depression to the point where I could physically feel it.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were times that I'm like, why not just kill myself? But I think when you contribute somehow to anything, any kind of art, your comedy, I mean, even if it is comedy, because people are like, oh, you're just a clown, but I'm trying to enlighten you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's one thing that Katie didn't really get when she got with me. She's like, your stuff is so dark, people don't like it. I'm like, some people might not, but I'm trying to enlighten you because I've been to this hell and not everyone has. And so I have to make it funny, but it's still real, you know, when I'm talking about asphyxiating myself in a closet, like David Carradine, you know, you know, those were thoughts that actually crossed my mind.
Yeah.
And the other thing where, you know, when I get in a fight with my roommate, that joke, that was for real. I mean, obviously I didn't forget that I didn't have a roommate, but, but yeah, I mean, there were just times like, what are you doing here? What is this for? And I knew there was something that I was like, I really shouldn't kill myself for quite a few reasons, but that was always on my mind. I was always thinking about it. I was like, well, what if I just did it? Who would give a shit, you know?
Yeah.
And how would my life change?
Yeah. So those conversations that you, in your joke, conversations that you had like in the mirror to the fake roommate, those are those are sort of thoughts that you have had about yourself and your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
for sure.
It's I don't think it's uncommon. I think it's something that a lot of people, you know, whether they have, you know, everything on the outside, whether it appears they have everything or whether they don't, you know, clearly have anything. And, you know, I think each person throughout life runs into those times, especially as you get into adulthood and you realize this is it, really. This is what we're doing. Like, this is how it has to be. I have to go to work every single goddamn day and I still can't pay my bills. And, you know, it's so frustrating. Oh, and now I have a girlfriend or a wife or living by myself or now I have children and I'm like, I gotta what? I gotta feed them every day. Like, how is this possible? Like, who set me up for this? Bunch of bullshit. Like,
whose idea was this?
Yeah, this wasn't my idea. My parents tried to warn me, but you know, it's hard. And you kind of get into those modes. And how's this last year been, you know, with not having the ability to get out and all that other stuff?
It's been rough, but at the same time, like 2019 was really good. And that's when I met Katie. And so that was great. And I finally got Prozac, which the end of that summer, which Prozac for me wasn't good because it almost put me in a slight mania. You know what I mean? Like if someone, hey, Mike, good set, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? It was just unnecessarily. Like I was still me, but I would just snap. And
you got
so I got off.
Somehow.
Yeah. And I got off of it early 2020. And it was when we were going into summer. So I was like, let's see how this goes. And then that pain, that anxiety came back. And partially because of COVID, I'm like, I knew I wasn't going to do comedy. And but I had Katie. Katie was living here. So that helped me. But I still had that physical, that it really is. It's like a physical aspect of depression no one really talks about. You just don't feel good.
Yeah.
You just don't at all feel good. And it's like a muscle memory kind of thing. You know, it's what you just instantly you get pissed off and it's just like a reflex.
It's hard to breathe sometimes, right? Like
yeah. And so then I got on Zoloft a few months ago and that's been better. And if I didn't have Katie, I think I'd be more depressed. I'd be okay, but I'd be missing comedy a lot more. And, you know, that's been the hardest part of this whole thing is just, you know, once every 2 or 3 months. Cause I didn't have a show it was Baxter was my last one about a year ago now. And then I had a show in August in Connecticut because they don't give a shit in Connecticut, apparently. And that was at Comics Mohegan Sun.
Nice.
Fucking casino was open. Everybody had masks on, but they're all walking around. I'm like, and I don't really care because I'm 34. My immune system's decent. I'll be fine. But like, how can they be open doing that? And Maine is just nothing. Shut down.
It is interesting.
You know what I mean?
Hear that story.
It killing all these businesses and shit that didn't need to die. I mean, let's face it, they didn't have to. They could have just had some of these protocols in place in the summer. We would have been fine, because if you look everywhere, you know, it was kind of steady going up and down, but it was way lower because it wasn't flu season. You know what I mean? Not spreading as quickly. But yeah, no, Connecticut didn't give a fuck.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then I had the 18-year-old's birthday show. That was a good time.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that show.
That was fun. Yeah, that was great. And then a couple more after that, a couple winner's circle spots, and that was it. That was my entire comedy year. And now
how did I miss the birthday party? Why wasn't I invited to that? Oh man.
Well, there was a show that we the River Comics did at Mixers for the the motorcycle club, and then Turcotte and Brian Plum were on that. And then when that was over, they were like, okay, yeah, we're heading down the road to do a birthday party for an 18-year-old. And I was like, I said, can I just come watch? And he's like, sure. And you want to do some time? I was like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. And so I jumped on the show. It was like performing for like 6 or 7, 18 and 17-year-olds or whatever.
I remember now. I had my children that weekend, and that was depressing.
That was awesome.
That's funny.
But you want to talk about an attentive audience? They were all in. It was nice.
Well, they were just waiting for somebody to swear. Like
I know, and I was first up. Oh no, Mark. Well, Mark was first up, of course.
Teach us
brought me up, and I think like I don't have a lot of curse words in my set, you know, especially in my smaller set. But I think like when I said one little curse word or one little sort of penis joke, and then they were just like, oh,
said something about a vagina.
And I will say for Zoomers, they were not easily offended.
Right, for
That's
sure.
Good.
Yeah,
there's hope.
Well, they were up in the Lewiston, Auburn area, so
that's true. Yeah. So they're basically millennials from the early '90s.
Yeah. And then you were on our first Zoom show. Speaking of Zoomers, we did a Zoom show. What do you think about doing Zoom comedy and like having that as an option in the future? Should we just fucking trash that?
I fucking hate it. I hate it.
How did I know?
I'm talking to you guys right now, and it's like this is a conversation, but I'm still just staring at my computer. And to do Zoom shows, I'm just sitting in my fucking living room. Like it's lame. It just sucks. You know, I can't do it. You know, you're talking to these little black spots, and some of them like people like it just I don't like it at all. And when everyone laughs, everything's delayed, so your timing's all fucked up. You know, it's weird.
It's so true. It's so true. I'm glad we've been able to do a few things, but overall, can't wait. You wanted to do this interview in person, and we did too. And you know,
I wasn't going to cough on you guys or anything. I swear.
No, I know. Well, you know, like, as we're sitting here, it's like we could have probably found a time and a place to do this in person. It's not out of the question, but you know, it just feels like, oh god, everyone's got to be careful and so on and so forth. So you know, maybe we'll do a part 2 to this in person someday.
I hope so. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
and I'll engineer it for you guys.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you're a sound engineer, and are you in a band now currently, or you just play, or what's the deal with your music career?
Career. That's a very loose term. No, well, let's see. I got this beautiful amp here.
Nice.
And
that's an amp.
I have plenty of gear and stuff, but no bands or anything like that. I don't know. It's really hard to find people to get into a band, and then you got to find time to all get together.
Yeah.
And then you got to have chemistry.
Yep.
And then you got to finish shit. And I like. There's a guy from Stillborn Condition, is a Portland death metal band. He and I are kind of have this project, but he ended up moving, and he moved out to like Appleton or something like that. So it's like we just can't get together. So that's an obstacle right away. Right. And then we got to have chemistry, which we do, because when I'm around him, I can, you know, churn out a bunch of riffs, and then he'll answer those riffs, and we could, but like then you got to finish it. And you got to remember what you played, and you got to write it down or record it. And it's just, it's a pain in the ass.
So you don't want to start a band over Zoom?
I would hate. Yeah, everything's like 2 beats off. The drummer has to count you in like 2 beats ahead of time, and then you start playing, and then that'd be a fucking mess.
There was one time when Nick and I were trying to say something for our advertising bit that we're trying to do. We were trying to say something at the same time, and he was talking, and then I would start talking, but he would stop because he couldn't hear my voice in time to think that I was talking. It was like, oh my God, I can't imagine trying to do music.
Oh yeah, that'd be awful. I mean, there is this thing, musicians out there. There's this thing called BandLab. And it's a website, but it's also Cakewalk by BandLab. Cakewalk is a recording software, and you can download that. It's totally free, and then you can upload your tracks to a browser-based like workstation. So you can you don't jam remotely, but you're able to transfer files and stuff very quickly. And the person on the other end can modify stuff if you're collaborating with it's really cool, and it just kind of makes that whole sharing files and stuff much quicker. Like it cuts.
So you could record your piece into it and then send it along to someone's playing bass, and you can send along, and
yeah.
Keep going
So I could lay down like a MIDI drum track, right, and then I can then upload that using BandLab onto the browser, so they get on their computer, open that project up, and they have the project right there. It's really cool. It
is cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
Interesting.
In the
Maybe we should do
cloud.
this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask all my questions, and then you come in and answer them, and then. No, I don't think that'd work out very well. But I've always wanted to be a musician. I always look at people who can even just a little bit. Like it's something. It's so impressive to watch somebody play an instrument and play it well. And I've never actually seen you play, but I'd love to someday. And whatever. Well, no, but it's just neat to watch that, to see somebody manipulate an instrument and do it well, or sing well, or or a band play together. And I never really thought too much about the chemistry that it took to have a good band. And so now you think about really good bands, like no matter what the style is, it's like, oh wow, that's actually really impressive to think,
and it's also when you're jamming with people, and if they're good, or they know what they're doing, and what you're doing, you almost get like a hive mind kind of mentality. That's really cool. Like a lot of jam bands talked about that, even though they all sound the same. But
so for the uneducated, what is a jam band?
Jam band would be like Grateful Dead. Is like the classic.
Sorry, that doesn't help me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Jerry Garcia. Not the Ice Cream.
I know who they are, but I just don't understand what a jam band is.
So your typical song on the radio is what, like 3 to 4 minutes?
Yeah.
A jam band would go on for 18 minutes.
But also a lot of improvisation.
Yeah.
Okay.
They would kind of look at each other and change, and they would all be on the. So I mean, they were super talented, but it's just all kind of bland. Like you really have to like that type of music to get into.
Okay.
Or be on a long road trip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the same song's been playing for the last 2.5 hours. And we're in Waukegan. How did that happen? What do you do? How do you promote yourself? What do you do? We ran across something, gray area comedy. And what was that? I can't remember, Leonard.
Facebook.
Oh, that was on Facebook.
I have a page, which might be a faux pas for a lot of comedians, because a lot of comedians, I noticed, they just use their personal page to promote. And I don't know how
to make a separate page. So.
Oh yeah. You're too old, Nick. That's what it is. Okay. You don't know. But no, I made this page, and so I promote on that, and then I'll share it on my regular page.
I see.
But if I want to, I can advertise through the page and pick out a target demographic or whatever, and promote it to them, and it'll just appear as an ad as they're scrolling. But I haven't paid for anything yet. I just promote on the page and then tag a bunch of stuff, make people aware of it, and then I'll share on and eventually I'm just going to do stuff on the page. Why But I don't know why it's such a faux pas, because it's like, if I were a band at this level, you know what I mean, playing shows and stuff, I would have a page. I would have had a page for like 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, with nothing on it.
Yeah. No, you just would have had some sort of presence. You would have had a page. You would have had some videos out there. You would be constantly, you know, telling people about it. When I don't get that about comedy either. Like, there's this idea that you know, we're supposed to be humble or something, or we have to wait until we're found, or we have an agent, or like, I don't even know. Like, it's there's a weird feeling in comedy that you know, you just have to like sit back and bide your time, and you're not allowed to say you're a comedian, and like, it's silly. Like, we perform, we get laughs, we're stand-up comedians.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think someday when I go on the road, hopefully I'll be able to use my page, you know, pay whatever it is, $5, $10, $15, $20, I don't know what it is, for like Asheville, North Carolina. Boom, I'm gonna be there and people will see it, and hopefully that'll bring people out. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Because I don't know anyone in that scene, you know what I mean? So if I'm promoting, you know what I mean, to regular people out there, they'll see it instead of just a bunch of comedians, which is what we do now. You know, we share something, only other comedians see it, and some of our friends who don't show up.
Who don't never show up. Or our family who show up once and then they're like, I can't go again.
Oh God, you can perform in front of your family.
I have once. And they never came back again.
Yeah.
I'd rather do the most grotesque sexual things to my girlfriend in front of my family than perform comedy. It's no way.
No. Okay. Well, that's
equally as offensive, at least.
Yeah. Speaking of offensive, you have one of your Facebook posts, something about a Danish cartoon with big penises. What the hell was that? Where'd you find that?
Oh, wow, what was that? John Dillerman?
That was hilarious. I was just scrolling through it and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, that was like right after the Capitol riots. So I was like, this guy will save better. Us. And because it's a real cartoon. And this was after some cartoon on PBS got canceled. Caillou?
Oh, Caillou.
Caillou. And people hate it because he's just a brat or something. I'm like, dude, this is a children's cartoon. First of all, it's stop animation, which creeps me out as it is. And this guy has like a comically large dick. Like prehensile dick that just can grab things.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah. And
oh my God.
I mean, he's wearing pants, so it's okay. But it just,
thank goodness.
Like serpentines around stuff.
The stretchy pants, I hope.
Yeah. It's stretchy. Okay. It's all Lycra.
Okay.
Do you remember the name of it though? Like, we got to get that out there.
Oh, what was that? I'll have to look it up. But I know.
We'll see if they want to be a sponsor of the podcast.
That'd be hilarious. Or at least get a picture of him as our logo.
Oh, I guess it's just called John Dillerman.
John
Dillerman. Okay.
Yeah.
That's another name for a penis now. Dillerman.
Yeah, it's a Dillerman. And it's a Danish stop motion animated children's television series about a man with a very long penis. That's
what?
That's in the description?
That's legitimately the description?
That's in the wiki.
Wow.
That's what it is.
Oh well, nothing inaccurate ever gets into a wiki.
True.
So okay.
It's
that's right.
I saw this one picture of him. He's hanging upside down with his schlong is like tied up with a bunch of balloons, and he's floating over the town. I want John Dillerman T-shirts. I want to get one. And wear one on stage. Then they got to be with. It's just John Dillerman, and his dick just goes around the back.
Goes around the okay.
Then it goes down to your pants. Oh my God, that's hilarious. We gotta find that.
Oh. Well, Mike, thank you very much for joining us. So we want to move on to a segment on the podcast that we're calling "Curse the Darkness," and it's a Chinese proverb that goes, "I'd rather light a candle than curse the darkness." And so we've named this segment "Curse of Darkness" because we want you to tell us about something you want to complain about. I don't know if you understand how to complain about things. But if we
No idea.
If you want to complain about something about which you have no plans to correct or fix in any way. So
You're getting ready to wrap it up though, right? I mean, that's like 20 minutes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, we're long done.
Yeah. No, there's things that I want to fix, and I have plans, and I kind of try, but I guess I don't try as much as I should, or like I want to get more fit because I've put on weight the past couple years, and I'd like to get that, but I don't know, man. I think about comedy too much. I work too much to fucking try to, I don't know. I want to fix it. I have plans to fix it, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen. Yeah. And I always want to get better at comedy, but I'm trying that all the time. So
you're a normal man in their 30s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I didn't have kids, so it's still possible for me.
Yes, that is so true.
There's still time for you, Mike. Save yourself.
Get a vasectomy and go on the road.
Yes. I have a dog, and that's as close as I'll ever get. And he's enough of a pain in the ass.
I applaud people who know that they don't want children or aren't going to have children or have made that decision and stick with it. Because if that's what you want or don't want, then
if the world wasn't so messed up right now, I'd be open to it. Or if we were back in the 1840s, I wouldn't give a shit. But there's always like, I want to do comedy. We're in the middle of an apocalypse. By the way, the weirdest, shittiest apocalypse ever. I was talking to Mark about it, and he's like, "Oh, you just don't want it to affect comedy." I was like, "No, I just don't want any hope of anything. If there's going to be an apocalypse, I want like the children of the blood of unborn children raining from the sky, and like
make it real,
volcanoes and tornadoes, and I mean, now it's like, well, we might beat this thing. Like, I just want this. I want the fucking Black Plague to come back and wipe out like a third of us, and then I'd be like, okay, this is it. This is the
actually
apocalypse.
really happened.
Mike's like, are we doing this or what? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. It's the reticence of God, that God is so reticent to like just slap his hand down. And my mother was like, "Oh, we're in the end," because she's in a cult. She said, "Like, we're in the end times. This was all foretold. The coronavirus. Like, Mom, if God wanted to wipe us out with a fucking disease, he wouldn't have chosen coronavirus. It would have been so much more definitive than that."
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it would just be AIDS that could transfer with like nasty looks at people. That's how. If God wanted to do it, it would happen.
And Fauci would come out. Okay, all right. Now everyone has to wear 2 pairs of sunglasses.
By the way, if you wear 2 masks, you're a fucking narc. Okay. Don't do that. Please don't do that.
I agree. One is enough.
One's like fine.
One's enough. Keep your distance. Wash your hands.
Yep.
Yeah.
But wear 2 pairs of dark sunglasses.
Exactly.
Regular pair and then the cataract pair over the top of them.
Yeah.
The cocoons. Yeah.
Shit.
Well, Mike, great. Thank you very much for joining us. This has been great.
Thank you guys for having me. It's awesome.
Really happy to have you on the podcast. We will talk to you next time.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully in person.
Yes, in person.
Yes,
all right.
In person. We'll make sure it's in person.
Mike Gray, everyone. The long-haired Mike Gray, everyone. If you haven't seen his stand-up comedy, you need to make it a priority. Although, us saying that will make him mad, I bet.
Yeah, he's a multi-talented individual who is comfortable telling the truth about life and love and the ups and downs of existing. Pleasure to have a few minutes to catch up with him.
You can find more of Mike on Facebook at Mike Gray Comedian and in the woods west of Lake Winnipesaukee. He's also at Craft Brew Underground in Auburn, Maine on April 17th.
Thanks to everyone who listened. Tell your friends and follow Comedy Think Tanked wherever you can. Be sure to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Find us on Instagram at Comedy Think Tanked, Twitter at Comedy Tanked, and our website, comedythinktanked.com. Email us at comedythinktanked@gmail.com. Good day.
Theme music was written and produced by a minor, Ralph Birgfeld. No comedians were hurt in the production of this podcast. All audio snippets of actual funny punchlines were not written or performed by any of us or our subsidiaries. Rather, they are express written bits of professionals we admire. Let the civil actions be filed. Any opinion heard, actual or implied, is that of Comedy Think Tank's producers and their guests. Any slight, insult, affront, slur, disparaging remark, snub, rebuff, rejection, or spurning, no matter how derogatory, pejorative, or abusive you may feel it is, was not intended but for comedic entertaining purposes only. Thanks for listening.
You ever wake up and your mouth tastes like you just ate a whole bag of Doritos?